yogis, welcome back. So this is our class 7 as part of our group program for those who are struggling with symptoms of PTSD and trauma. So today's class is going to be yin, and it's all about getting ready for sleep. We know that sleep disturbances is a main part of PTSD, so having this kind of practice can be very helpful in learning ways to down-regulate and get your body and nervous system more prepared, more ready for rest. So we can get started. We'll be starting today in seated. So if you have a pillow or a blanket, feel free to make use of that by just tucking it under the hips and coming into a comfortable cross-legged position. And then we'll just choose to settle in. And again, knowing that this is a trauma-sensitive class, we are moving through this at your pace. Part of the recovery process is learning to regain a sense of agency. So please know that all of the postures I'm offering during this class are truly offerings. They are not mandatory, and you can choose to omit any of the poses that do not work for you, or if they cause you any form of discomfort. So finding your variation of seated and just coming in with a nice lengthening through your spine, maybe just tucking the chin slightly. You can always choose to keep your eyes open during the practice. Perhaps just lowering your gaze to the floor and allowing the sight to simply soften. And you might just start noticing the breath. If it feels good, you could start to lengthen this next inhale. And lengthen the exhale. So on purpose, just being more aware of your breath. You can add a little neck stretch, so you could choose to take the right cheek towards the right shoulder. Just finding some length through the left side of the neck. And taking a few breaths here. And let the inhale slowly bring you back up. And then we'll try that on the other side. Starting to lengthen the right side of the neck. Thinking about creating a little space between the right shoulder and the right ear. Take 3 breaths. And let that go. Inhale, let's come back up. Maybe a little shrug of the shoulders. And we'll move into caterpillar. So we're going to move and lengthen through your legs. And again, this is a forward fold. So we would like to elevate the hips by using a pillow or a blanket. It just helps with the rotation of the pelvis. So just flexing the feet first, and then let the legs and feet just be soft and relaxed. We're going to be taking a forward fold, so you can bring your hands to your heart. On an inhale, reach up to the sky, stretch, and then we're going to fold forward till the hands come down to the floor. So it does not matter how far you hinge forward. This is about lengthening out through the back side of your legs and all along the length of So in yin, we are not pushing, we're not forcing, we're not pulling to get deeper into the pose. We want to let gravity do most of the work. So the game is to be slow and patient and breathe. And then we just allow the pose to do its work on you. So just allowing the back and spine to round, letting the head be heavy. Most of the poses we hold in this practice will be about 3 minutes long. So I'll keep track of the time. So focusing on your breath. If the mind is loud and wandering, you can choose to revisit and bring your attention back to noticing the breath. Maybe you can bring your attention to the tip of your nose. Let's take 3 breaths here. Knowing you could come out a little early if you want, or you can stay a little longer. Big breath in. Breathe it out. And we want to come out of the forward fold nice and slow. So you can just start to walk your hands back in and gently and slowly starting to rise up. We're going to lie down now all the way onto our back. So just moving props aside, coming down onto your back in Shavasana. So it can feel really nice sometimes once you do a forward fold to undo that completely and simply lay flat on the floor. Once again, allowing your attention to return to the rhythm of your breath, helping it to smooth out, slow and steady. As we lay in Shavasana, you might do a brief body scan, starting at the top of your head, and just scanning down and seeing if you could relax any areas that are holding or are tense, especially through your face, shoulders, belly, and your thighs. Just allowing yourself to take up some space. It can feel nice to gently rock your head from side to side. We'll stay here for 30 seconds, and that's about 5 breaths. can slowly start to bend your legs, walking your feet onto the mat. And we'll take legs up the wall from here. So you can take one foot and press it up to the ceiling. And if that feels okay, maybe the second one follows. So feel free to have a nice generous bend in your legs in this posture. Just notice if you can kind of press your belly button down so the whole length of the spine is connected to the ground. Shoulders are soft. So this just is a little bit of a transition so that the blood is now flowing from the feet and legs back down to the heart. And again, just know you get to choose. If this posture does not work for you, you can always bring your feet back down to the ground, maybe taking Shavasana again. Otherwise, slow, steady breaths. Filling up the lungs. Option to take the arms overhead and add a little stretch through the shoulders and chest. Take 3 breaths here. And when you're done, slowly bring the feet back to the ground. Let's take reclined butterfly. So soles of your feet come together and the knees just fall open. The option is to leave the arms overhead, or maybe one hand over the heart, one hand over the belly. You get to choose. So this is a nice stretch for the inner thighs and for the hips. You can choose, if you want to ease it off, you could always make more of a diamond shape with the legs. And to intensify the stretch, you bring the feet closer to your body. You could also add props under the legs if this is a really intense stretch. And just check in, where is your mind? And if it's wandered off, just notice and then return on a breath. Let's take 5 breaths here. Deep breath in. And let it go. We can reach down, and we'll bring those knees back together. Maybe taking a little windshield wiper motion from side to side. And we're going to roll over onto the belly. And from here, we'll take a quad stretch. So you're going to bend your left leg, and then see if you can reach behind and grab a hold of your foot or ankle. So inviting in a little quad stretch here. I like to rest my head on my hand. You can also bring the face right to the mat, whichever one works better for you. So just notice if you can press down a little through the pelvis here, and you might find a little more stretch through the quad muscles. And let's release and try that on the other side. Reaching around for the right foot and drawing the heel in towards the glute. And again, a gentle press of the right pelvis. You might notice a little more stretch through the quad. Take 3 breaths. And releasing that. Coming into Sphinx pose. So let's bring both arms forward and propping ourselves up with elbows underneath the shoulders, palms on the mat. Letting the quads relax, the glutes also soften. So this is a nice stretch for the abdominals, and it helps to strengthen the lower back. So you can imagine a gentle squeeze through the shoulder blades, and you can just have your gaze wherever comfortable, maybe down at the floor. Some people might even tuck the chin here. So noticing tops of the feet, your pelvis, and your forearms to help you ground. And then we just choose to breathe. "30 seconds here." And take a deep breath. Open your mouth, let it go. And let's kick the elbows wide, lowering yourself back to the floor. Take a breath. And place hands shoulders and gently press yourself up, finding tabletop. So finding your foundation, hands under your shoulders, knees under your hips. It can feel nice to take a little movement here and draw circles with your hips, going in one direction and doing that 2 or 3 times. And then trying it in the opposite direction. Nice and slow. Working out any kinks. And finding a neutral table. We'll have a couple rounds of cat-cow. So dropping the belly, lifting the gaze and your tail. Inhale. And then curl the spine, tucking chin to chest. Press the floor away. Inhale, look up. Exhale, round and contract. 2 more times. And neutral table. Let's come into child's pose. So the option to bring the big toes together, letting the knees come as wide as your mat, and then walking the upper body forward. Forehead comes to the floor. If this is too intense, you can always bend through your arms or add a prop underneath the forehead. So gently pressing the hips back over your heels, and then letting the upper body be heavy. Refocusing your attention back onto the breath if it wanders off into thinking again and again. Option to add a side stretch by walking the fingertips over to the left. On your next inhale, let's walk the fingertips over to the right. And on your next breath in, we'll come back to center. Inhale. And exhale. Slowly you can start to walk your hands back in, and we'll transition to seated tree. So let's take the left leg long. We are going to be folding, so you're welcome again to prop up your hips onto pillow or blanket. Right foot we draw it in, and we're going to be folding over the left leg. So just taking your chest and turning it over the left thigh, Hands can come to heart center. On your breath, we'll find a little length, reaching up, and then folding forward and down. And again, we're not reaching or pulling here. We're just finding a nice stretch along the back side of the left leg. And I'm feeling a nice stretch on the right side of my back. Just let the head be heavy, relax your neck, soften your face, and choose to breathe. A gentle reminder, again, there's no finish line here, there's no perfect, there's no supposed to be in terms of how the pose looks. The pose is, if you're feeling a stretch in the back side of your leg, you're doing the right pose. So just choose your breath. We've got about 60 seconds, and that's about 10 breaths. So if it helps, you can count them down. And on your next breath in, start to slowly, very slowly start to press yourself up. And we'll take that on the other side. So you're just going to straighten through the right leg, bring the left foot in towards the thigh, and then turn the upper body over that right leg. And again, we always want to find a little length, so breathing, reach up. And then we start to hinge forward until the hands come down and the back side of the leg says, that's enough. So we don't want to have too much sensation. It should be in that moderate zone where you can tolerate it and you can choose to stay. We don't want to feel too little either. So just finding your sweet spot, having a nice stretch through the left side of the back. And just settling in. So importantly, when we're practicing yoga, we want to be present. So we don't want to just leave our body and go to some happy place to tolerate the sensation. We want to practice staying with our bodies and practice tolerating what we're feeling in the body. So forming a new healthy relationship with your body. So we choose to stay. And that's why it's important to remember that if something isn't working for you, this is too intense, well, we can practice changing it. So if it's too intense, we'd simply come up out of the pose a little bit. And that's not a loss, that's not a failure, it doesn't suggest anything bad. It's actually a really positive sign that you're learning to receive information from your body and make changes so that you can stay with it and be healthy. We'll stay for 1 minute here, and that's about 10 breaths. Three to go. And let's slowly come up, pressing through your arms. And we'll make our way down onto our backs once again. This time we're going to be taking figure 4. So as you come down onto your back, you'll keep the legs bent and crossing the right ankle on top of your left thigh. So this is a hip opener for the right side. Keeping the right foot flexed, and it helps to protect the knee. You're going to imagine you can press the right knee away from your body. And if that cultivates enough sensation in your right hip, this is your pose. If you'd like to add more stretch or more sensation, you can bring the legs into your body and maybe interlace the fingers as a little bit of a self-assist. So we're just looking to feel something in the outer right hip. And you get to choose how much or how little you feel. The whole length of your spine and the back of your head should be on the floor. So you might need to draw your tailbone down a little bit. And you might notice a little more sensation in the hip. Option to stay still, or you can explore a little movement here by very slowly, gently rocking from one side to the other, kind of seeking out your sweet spot for sensation. So I notice if I rock a little to the left, I find a little more stretch in the outside of that right hip. So option to just explore a little movement. Take 5 breaths. And let's let that go. Both feet come to the floor. And maybe a low windshield wiper release, taking the knees from one side to the other. And we'll try that out on the other side. So let's take the left ankle, cross it over top of the right thigh, flexing through the left foot now, pressing the leg and the knee out away from the body. And again, if you're feeling sensation, this could be it, and that's wonderful. If you would like a little more, feel free to draw the legs in toward the body, interlace your fingers, either on top of the right knee or perhaps underneath on the right thigh, your choice. So we are using a little bit of arm strength if you're in this variation, but it shouldn't be a whole lot. Ideally, really, you're drawing the legs in toward your body, and then the arms are just a little extra assist. You shouldn't be using your arms a whole lot. And again, invitation to add a little bit of exploratory movement here, rocking your weight from one side to the other. If it doesn't feel good, leave it out. Take a couple more breaths. And release. Both feet come down. And we're going to be taking supported bridge pose from here. So at home, if you don't have a yoga block, you feel free to just use a bed pillow or a cushion from the couch. And I'm going to be using my bolster for this one. So whatever prop you do have, I'll ask that you just slide it up under the low part of the back, even if it is just a pillow or two, just to get a little elevation with the hips. The knees can stay bent, so just a very gentle inversion where the heart is slightly higher than our head. You can choose, arms can just be down by your side, or again, adding a little stretch by sweeping them up over your head. Just about a minute here, and that's again about 10 breaths. And it can be helpful to practice counting the breaths to stay more connected, more present. 2 more. And from here, we'll be taking a supine or laying twist. So you can choose, you can keep your pillow in place and simply take your hips a little to the right and then just let the knees fall to the left. If this doesn't feel very good, feel free to just come back to center, remove your prop, and take your twist just normally laying on the floor. You can extend the right arm out. You want to be grounded through the right shoulder. Just feeling a nice stretch through the right side of your body, especially around the hip. And then your breath in, let's bring the knees up. Taking the hips to the left now, let's drop the knees to the right. And extending out through the left arm. When you're ready, bringing the knees back to center. Squaring your hips, and if you have a pillow, let's remove the pillow. Drawing your knees in toward your chest, giving yourself a little squeeze, and it feels good to rock a little from side to side. And we're going to get ready for Shavasana. So if you have any extra layers that you'd like to put on, please do that now. If you have a blanket, I would encourage that you choose to use it, cover up, and get cozy. It's getting ready for bed yoga, so we want to make it nice and comfortable. Laying down onto your back, hands. You can choose, maybe bringing them down by your sides. The time now is to simply relax and enjoy these moments of stillness. So no more trying, just letting the floor hold your weight, trying to let the body be soft. And the breath can come back to just being natural. And we'll stay here together, just resting for about 3 or 4 minutes. And we can slowly start to notice your breath. Beginning the reawakening, so slowly adding just small movements in your toes and fingers. You can walk your feet back onto your mat, bending through your legs, and it might feel good to take a little stretch through the arms. And if you are going right to bed, maybe just taking yourself there. Otherwise, let's just take a moment rolling onto one side. And when you're ready, compress through your arms and bring yourself up to seated. And ending the way we started, coming into a nice seated position, whatever feels comfortable. Bringing hands to heart center. And if you want, you can help close this practice with chanting Om one time. Take a deep breath in. Breathe out. Deeper breath. And Namaste. The light in me sees and honors the light in you. So thank you so much for joining and practicing today this bedtime yin practice, especially for those who struggle with symptoms of PTSD. We're moving on to our last session of the program next time, so look forward to seeing you then.